Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. أما بعد أحبتي في الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته أسأل الله كريم رب العرش العظيم أن يتولنا في الدنيا والآخرة. أحبتي في الله, a question was asked, and it's a sensitive question. How can I support my grieving mother? My mother has lost one of my siblings, and as a family, we're hurting. How can I support her? How can I strengthen her? Well, first and foremost, no doubt that, as we've mentioned on numerous occasions, returning to the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to find solace, to find peace in the heart. And one of the ayat that one of the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that comes to mind is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. Seek help through patience and prayer. So finding that peace, that solitude, that comfort through the salat, through establishing prayer and more in your life, that having a special place reserved in your home, especially for the women, where you find comfortable, that's clean, that's a beautiful place that you find is a comforting place to make salat. And exercise patience. Try your best to make sure you're dealing with, you're suffering through halal means, through grieving, through the difficulties that may have afflicted you, that you are returning to Allah. So to support someone like that is to give them this kind of advice, to tell them, to try to encourage them to seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost through patience and prayer. Also, if there's a need for mental health, then also, advising the person to look into that if need be. If it's a very serious grieving and there's a lot of depression and anxiety, and they don't seem to be able to grow through that and through the struggle, then you can support them through advising them to seek even professional help if need be, through a Muslim counselor, a Muslim social worker, or psychologist, or what have you. Also, something that's very important is to be an active listener, to be present and listen. So sometimes it's not always that people want advice, but sometimes they just want to vent and they just need a good listener. They may not need the answer, and especially women tend to have this, to sometimes just want a good listener from their spouse. So this is very important to be present and listen, and that can make a big difference and can be a way of support and allowing that person to vent and express their emotions. And another means of supporting a grieving mother is through, offering them the emotional support and comfort through words, through, as simple as it may seem, through hugs and through that physical contact, and being patient with their emotional needs, because everyone grieves differently and everyone has a different requirement as far as what they need. Some people are very physical. They need the hug. Some people don't need that, and they just need an active listener. So knowing that about your mother is very important to be able to support her. Also, and these can be very sensitive things, and a lot of us, if not all of us, have dealt with these kind of scenarios, especially with grieving mothers, losing a spouse, losing whatever, losing grandparents and others, that this can be, it requires learning how to support that loved one. Another means for supporting the grieving mother is just to encourage her to be encourage her to take care of herself, to have a timeout, to have time to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to fast, to strengthen her ibadah, and even do activities that she may enjoy. She enjoys walking, if she enjoys hiking, she enjoys whatever, basket weaving, that you can support her in that. Also help take the burden off the daily tasks, the burdens of just life, of housework, of cleaning and things like this. So and cooking, that you can help by supporting her through helping her clean, helping her cook, and supporting her in that way. Also, strive to make sure you have regular contact with your mother. If you're not living with her, then you're calling her and visiting her all the time. And if you are living with her, that you're just checking in with her, making sure she's not bogged down in loneliness and sadness and grieving. So it's very important during this process, although I guess lastly we might say that it's very important to respect the grieving process, and everyone's process is different. You do not want to let someone sit in misery. Sit in misery, because the misery, by sitting in misery, they may seek the companionship of the shaitan or the shayateen or the jinn, or just allowing sadness and grief to overpower them, and depression, and demotivate them, so that they don't even feel like getting out of bed. They don't feel like doing anything. They may not take care of their hygiene any longer, because depression is very real. Depression has very serious implications. So it's very important to strive in every way to try to support your grieving mother. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty, to accept our good and forgive our evil, protect us from kulli su' makruh. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا Muhammad وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. And probably lastly, even before I end, is also the importance of talab al-ilm, that you seeking Islamic knowledge is also a means of dealing with the grieving, and finding comfort, and finding a focus, and finding direction in life. So may Allah bless us all with ilm nafi', rizqan tayyib, wa amalan mutaqabbalan, wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad